Welcome to Kayan Frequency, where we're going to explore how mind, body, and culture connect in the ever-growing landscape of wellness in the UAE. My name is Bernadette Abraham. I'm a functional medicine practitioner, holistic health specialist, author of Unjunk, How to Raise Healthy Eaters in a Processed World, founder of Be Better, and I'm joined today with Neeta Bhushan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Neeta Bhushan. I am a podcaster, host of the top podcast, The Brave Table, as well as founder of Ayurvedic modern wellness chai company, Chai Tonics, and author of 4 books in the intersection of emotional intelligence and emotional regulation. My latest book was That Sucked, Now What? How to Embrace the Joy in Chaos and Find Magic in the Mess. I feel like we should start with our fire round, our rapid fire round first.
Yep.
To get everybody kind of going, because you lead a community, I lead a community, and I think it's so important that we start with, some of our favorite things that we do on the daily.
Okay, 1-word short answers.
Done. All right, so first thing, morning breath work or morning journaling?
Breath work for sure. For you, digital detox or spa retreat?
Spa retreat. Okay. For you, essential oils or herbal teas?
Herbal teas.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ice bath or infrared sauna?
Oh, sauna all the way.
Oh yeah, you can't pay me to get into an ice bath.
No, cold, no. And ladies, it's not for you. It's not for us, especially on certain days of our cycles.
Yeah, exactly.
Pay attention.
Home cooked meals or dining out?
Home cooked meals, but I'm bougie and I do like to dine out. Just no fried foods, please, for me.
For you, nervous system reset. Do you prefer music or movement?
Both. Gotta jive.
Pick one.
I think you gotta do both. You can't just jive you can't move without the music. And the music creates this harmony that elevates our soul. So
Okay, fair enough.
Natural cleaning products or DIY hacks?
So it depends on the season. I'd say right now it's natural products for convenience.
Okay.
But I have done the DIY. So
Okay.
But now I would say products.
So no
Natural
bleach,
products.
no bleach or Windex.
No. Forest walk or ocean swim?
Depends on the day. I do love me some Shinrin Yoku. For those of you who don't know what that is forest bathing in Japanese. But yeah, the salt water from the ocean
Same.
is my jam.
I could see why we get along. A lot of the same answers.
A lot of water earthiness.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. Okay.
All right.
So I want to get into segment 2 and really get into it, because you have been known in the UAE as someone who really prides themselves on low-tox living, and also you've written this incredible book. You've amassed a humongous community in your Be Better community. But I want to know kind of where that starts, where that started for you. What inspired you to really focus on low-tox living? Was there a particular moment? Was there a time? I want to go back there.
Yeah, and I could say it's a journey, right? It's not like just overnight, all of a sudden your whole lifestyle changes. It really is an evolution over time of things that you change, things that you learn, things that you start to adapt, things that you try, but then they don't stick, right? And so for me, I think that moment was, I had a health scare, actually. It's probably about when I first moved here. So maybe I've been here for 20 years, maybe about 15 years ago. I had a lump that developed under my underarm, and that scared me. So obviously got that checked. It turned out to be nothing. It was hormonal. It went away with the cycle. But that was a big, huge moment to go, you know what? I always look at being a nutritionist, having been a personal trainer for so long, and then getting into functional medicine, really look at ingredients in products of foods. But I wasn't really looking at ingredients in products that I use on my body. And that was like a moment to go, what am I putting under my arms, my underarms? So I started looking at my deodorant, and I was like, aluminum, does that belong there? And that got me questioning and looking into ingredients in personal care products. And that's how it really started. And I started learning more and more and making healthier swaps along the way.
Yeah.
And you're known for nervous system reset and emotional regulation. And so what was it for you that led you down that path?
Oh, wow. I feel like, so many iterations of life, and, everyone who's watching this or listening to this has probably been through some breakdowns, has probably needed to step back, has probably had a burnout once or twice or 10 times. And, from going through unimaginable loss, losing, my parents at a young age, my brother, as well, all before I was 19 years old, and then having to raise a younger brother and kind of really go through, the circumstances of life. I feel like I was always in survival mode. And I think when you have gone through traumas like that and circumstances that are definitely not in your favor, you tend to actually have this armor on. And so for me, I was fully in the masculine, and it was the go, 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 doing, the achieving, born and raised with Filipino Indian parents in the US. So it was doctor, dentist, lawyer, engineer, of course. And so I think for, a lot of us goal-getting, high-achieving people, there comes a point where life just breaks you, not once, but twice, maybe 10 times, or maybe the same patterns keep coming over and over again. And so it was that loss, but then also this untangling from what we think society expects us to be. And then also, a marriage that broke me open in all of the ways, in a very toxic environment where I needed to reclaim myself. Of course, fast forward, fell in love, found, a person that would, match me in all of the ways, but then also falling in love with myself. Because I think so often as women, we are trained to have this validation from every single person around us, and we don't really fall in love with that person who we are on the inside. And I think that comes with really understanding your nervous system and what triggers you, what causes you to make these certain decisions in your life, what causes you to, come back home to yourself. And I think for so many of those years, fast forward, it was a reckoning for me to understand, okay, this is what was going on. And to really say, I'm not just this doing person that's constantly in the doing mode. I can actually be. And hence rituals broke me open, getting back into kind of my ancestral lineage, Indian wisdom, Filipino wisdom, sitting with all different kinds of people and teachers. And a lot of times I took those things for granted, as we all do. We come from very rich cultures, but then we set it aside. And it was only until you get to those rock bottom moments where you're kind of like, oh, that's what my dad was doing. He was praying for 2 hours a day, when my mom was really sick in her moments of cancer, but he was chanting, and, whatever it was bringing us back into some sort of cohesion, which meant that was home for me. Right. So I think recognizing your patterns and recognizing your nervous system in a way where, oh, okay, all those times where I was coming from a place of survival mode, that was me reacting because my nervous system never knew a safe place to land. What does safety actually mean? And for me, for a very long time, safety meant I got to perform, I got to achieve, I got to keep going. And I didn't know how not to have a full plate, because that plate was just, trauma, because you're just used to it. You're used to it. Until things started to actually be like, well, wait a minute. Do you actually need all of those things on your plate? And what are you doing this for? And what are you actually running from?
Exactly. When you don't give yourself that space to feel all the emotions as well and to process all of those emotions as well, you just fill it with things to do and keep yourself busy. Stuff.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. But the real magic happens is when you can actually take a look at yourself and say, I see you. I see that you were that little girl at 3 or at 4 or at 7 or at 10 or 15 who didn't know any better, and to have that compassion for yourself.
So can you tell us what does resetting the nervous system actually mean? For someone who's never really heard about this before, is just new to this and is interested in doing this work, what does that actually mean?
Well, it's basically giving yourself permission to pause. I mean, think about it. There are so many things in our lives right now that kind of grab our attention. Our phones,
distractions.
For sure. Like, we are on a dopamine overload. This is basically what we're on right now. And I think is there even a minute for you to take a deep breath and actually take a deep breath from your belly to just fully breathe? Give yourself oxygen. And I've noticed let's just do it right now. Let's take a deep breath.
I'm like,
did we even breathe today?
Let's do that.
And really, so let's take a deep breath in.
Yep.
And honestly, there's so many times in a day, and today is one of them, where I had to really check in. Have I been shallow breathing? Because shallow breathing is just right here. Yeah. It's just in the chest, right here. So then we wonder, when we go home, why is our necks feeling so kinked up? Why is our back hurting? Why are we feeling all these aches and pains in our legs? Well, it's because we haven't fully oxygenated our bodies.
Yeah.
Because we're like, go, 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 go. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? Oh, food that's not really good for us. And then we're just kind of on this rat race. Resetting your nervous system. No, you don't need to go to a retreat in Bali, although that's cute. But we can reset for 3 minutes right now, and we can actually put our hand over our heart. I know it sounds cheesy. I know it sounds corny. But really, to reset and say, all right, I got you.
How does someone know that their nervous system is overwhelmed and they need to reset it?
Yeah. So I think it starts out by saying, oh, why am I snapping at my husband today? Why am I snapping at my kids for the 10th time? Why am I screaming at my coworker or my team because I told them to do this thing and they're not doing it in the way that I asked? Oh, because you're just dysregulated. I just saw this meme, and bless this woman. The internet was going wild, and it was one of those viral memes, you get the ones I send you here and there. And the mom is like full out, you've probably seen this, full out screaming, yelling at the top of her lungs to her poor kid who spilled, I don't know, food, and she just made it, and it's like on the stairs. And, there was this expert who was like, okay, don't judge this mom's. Well, what are you saying in the comments? And of course you read the comments, and some are like for the mom and against the mom. The idea was that this poor mom, of course, she's overstimulated. Of course, she doesn't have any support. And yeah, she's doing the best that she can. And her nervous system is like, hold up a second. You are completely irritated. You have no support. You haven't had a chance to pump the brakes to say, what do I actually need right now to feel full and whole and holy? To actually take a moment to myself. And that's what really knowing, okay, am I dysregulated? What is happening? Have I eaten today? It's really checking in with yourself. Yeah. So you are dysregulated if you have been irritable, if you haven't been sleeping properly, if you are doing one of those detoxes and things like that, but you have a really busy schedule. So if you're not eating, guess what? You're hangry. There's all of these things. If you notice, you're starting to withdraw. It's also a trauma response. We fight, flight, we fawn, we withdraw, we cocoon, we dissociate, so we go on our phones more. And so these are literally the trauma responses that we have, because these are the things that made us feel safe when we were younger. Did you fight a lot when you were younger in order to feel safe? Or did you see the adults around you fighting a lot in order to feel safe? But I kind of wanted to turn some of the questions to you too, because... was there a turning point that, I know you shared about your lump that turned out to be okay, but was there anything else that supported you into creating this Be Better community that is now helping people in these low-tox situations? And you are a mama of 4. You've written this book on junk. And so I know all of the dots are now connecting.
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, it's an evolution. It was a journey for me. And so it started, as a personal trainer, and then as a nutritionist, nutritional therapy practitioner, functional medicine practitioner. And with every every time I would learn something new and I would be able to help people on a deeper level, I kept coming to a point where I was like, okay, you know what? Diet and exercise only go so far. Making sure that person sleeps, making sure that a person is doing, all the right things that when you think of wellness that a person should be doing. I was starting to realize that there was something else. There's something else that was missing, and it was really environmental. Because you can be doing all the right things, eating all the right foods, but if your environment is sick, eventually it is going to impact you as well. And that environment could be a relationship. That environment can be a home. That environment can be the workplace. It could be a car, right? It could be a physical environment, but it can also be your environment, your relationships that are around you. And so I started realizing that, okay, a person can have the best diet. People who are coming to me were actually eating really well.
Yeah.
I didn't have to coach them on how to eat and, maybe some tweaks here and there on how to improve, but that wasn't the issue. The issue was their environment. And that is something that is often overlooked, underrated, but is actually pervasive. It is ubiquitous. The amount of toxicity that we have around us that is filling our environments, that is very often at the root of people's issues. Yeah. And so when I would only get so far with a client, they would be following everything, their protocols, and they'd get to a point where okay, they're getting better, but either they're not 100% better, or they get better for a few months, they get off the protocol, and then they go right back. Yeah. Well, then something else, we didn't actually address the root of the issue. And that's when I would continue to dig further. And that's when I really dove into environmental medicine. I became mold literate. I went into courses on understanding EMFs, all of this invisible radiation that is around us, that is affecting us at a cellular level. It's not something that's going to immediately poison us and kill us, and the next day we keel over, but it's something that day in, day out is a form of stress to the body that is not seen, that is not discussed enough. We need to raise more awareness because there's so many practical, actionable things that people can do in their day-to-day lives that can minimize these burdens on the body. Mm-hmm. Because ultimately stress is one of the most toxic substances out there. If we're going to talk toxicity, stress is the biggest toxin of them all. Fear, I would say, is also another one that ties into stress. So even those who jump on this low-tox bandwagon, who start to fear everything in their environment, who starts to fear about everything that they're consuming or buying and obsessing over it, that is also a stress. And that is also not healthy. Right? And so I just want to preface this by saying that the body is resilient. The body has the ability to naturally detoxify, to handle stressors. But at the same time, it's a good idea, because it's so pervasive in our environment, in our modern world today, that we take steps to minimize them if and when we can, right? Because it's a cumulative effect of toxins. And stress, again, going back to stress, is we've got different forms. We have the physical stress, where somebody's not sleeping, where somebody's not nourishing. And we have the mental, emotional stress from work and relationships. And then we have the physiological stress of what's happening inside of us. Does somebody have mold colonization inside of them because their environment was sick? Right? Is somebody being stressed at a cellular level because they have a router right under their bed, where they're supposed to be resting and recuperating, it's in their bedroom, or they keep their cell phone on and they put it under their pillow. These are things that are actually very common. So these forms of stress are the biggest toxicities in the modern world. And so the goal is to just look at it holistically and start to minimize what we can when we can within our capacity.
Yeah, and I feel like you're so good at that. I mean, you're the reason why I purchased 4 air purifiers right when I moved here. Air purifiers, dehumidifiers, humidifiers, all in the same week. Yeah. So that's going to be another podcast for another day.
The wives love me, the husbands not so much.
So I want to bust some myths around low tox living, though, because I loved what you actually said around, even if we are obsessing incessantly about healthy eating, because I can do this, being that person at the coffee shop. Like, do you have carrageenan in your like milks, in your almond milk? Of course they all do. And so, to not be that person, but you're kind of that person. But I've seen the viral, memes of like, oh, you're drinking water from a plastic bottle.
Right.
And then like, where does it go? It's like, well, where else are we going to drink the water from?
Yeah.
Tap or plastic?
Yep.
And then some people are like, no water at all. So
what? That's an option. Some people say no water at all.
oh, yes. Yes.
We are 70-80% water. So no, that's not an option.
No. I like to think that if I'm talking to the water based on those water studies, that it's just going to clear it out.
Yeah.
It's just going to really clear it out. But to your point, if we are obsessing over this, when we are literally taking it as a stress of like, I'm not going to eat out anywhere.
Right.
I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to shut off the Wi-Fi from here to there. And that becomes this hidden thing in ourselves that we're constantly stressing over.
Yeah.
So, number one, is stress toxic? True or false?
So no, it's not, because you do need some form of stress for the body, and it's called there's a technical term, it's called the hormetic effect of stress, where you do want to have some stress in your life, but when it's too much, that becomes a bad thing. You want to find that middle ground, right? And so again, is it a good stress or is it a bad stress? You need to check in with yourself. So if the whole low toxic journey for you is becoming obsessive, is creating too much fear, and is creating more stress, then that is a bad thing. But if you're doing it from a place of, I'm just going to try and do my best and remove what I can in the capacity that I can, and trust that my body is going to be able to handle the rest that I can't control,
right,
then that's a healthy form of stress, right? That you're removing toxins, and it's not creating more fear and a stress response in the body, which is going to be activating the nervous system.
Yeah.
Right? Stress is directly
100%.
contributing to the nervous system. So absolutely, our thoughts play a big role in that.
And so, okay, so this is another one. Living low tox is too expensive or time consuming?
No, not at all. I would actually say that when you start this journey, you're going to get rid of a lot of, let's say, household cleaning products, right? You can replace all of your cleaning products that probably cost you, I don't know how much every month, 150 dirhams a month. I'm just assuming, throwing a number out there. You can replace it with vinegar and water. So there are a lot of ways that you can
baking
reduce.
soda? Would you have the baking soda?
Yeah, and even baking soda. Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of ways where you can actually remove a lot of products that you're using and minimize, and really do things with natural solutions. Like, instead of having in the shower all kinds of different body washes and all these crazy products that women like to buy and like to have, because all the fragrances and the scents and things like that.
Can we talk about the fragrance? How many endocrine disruptors are in those fragrances?
Well, those are like hundreds can be masked under the name of fragrance. We just don't know. It's an umbrella term that categorizes hundreds of chemicals.
And so for people that don't know what endocrine disrupting chemicals are, what can they do for women?
Yeah, not just women, men, women, and children. It does not.
Well, it's causing little girls to have periods earlier.
Well, it's disrupting hormones, right? Yeah. They mimic, so endocrine disruptors, endocrine is hormone. Disruptors is it's disrupting the hormonal system, because a lot of them can mimic hormones in the body and can contribute to that load. So yes, fragrances may contain one of the hundreds of chemicals, endocrine disrupting chemicals.
Sorry, fragrance.
Yeah,
and so a lot of that over here.
You could just do an olive oil, beautiful. Go back to our ancestral ways. What
with essential oils, right?
Olive oil soap. You'll have the smoothest skin. Okay, it doesn't smell the greatest, but
I think it smells good.
I think it's fine.
Smells great.
I find that no smell is clean. Right? There's this conception that you have to smell clean, you have to have a smell.
Yeah.
But that's actually volatile organic compounds that's being emitted, phthalates that are being emitted. These are all chemicals that can disrupt our hormones.
Yeah.
Right? And
it can cause menopause early. It can activate all of these imbalances.
Yeah, exactly.
It can further PCOS. If you are in PCOS, it can further a lot of the things that's happening with men these days, with the estrogenizing of the men.
Yeah. So no, it's not more expensive, to answer your question. And it can be really easy. So I want to go back to nervous system. I want to ask you, bust some myths with you as well.
Sure, let's do it.
Is nervous system health, is it only about the brain?
Oh no. It's the full body. We have, the gut is our second brain. So if anything, it's our gut, it's our fascia. If we are holding in an emotion, let's just say from TCM or traditional Chinese medicine and from Ayurveda, the Vedic system, which is 5,000 years old. If we go back to any of those systems, if we are holding any sort of anger in the body, traditional Chinese medicine says, okay, it's your liver. And, it can also be your kidneys. And so where are we holding that? So essentially, if we get a response from our boss or a text message from a friend, or we, found out somebody's betrayed us, where are we holding that tension? We're just holding it up here. So where are we going to get kinks? Again, it's going to be in the neck. It's going to be stored in our fascia. A lot of times when we're talking about women and giving birth, and a lot of times we're having these C-sections. Well, where's a lot of that trauma stored when they're cutting open the body? And so when those parts of our body are healing, where are we still holding on to some of those stories of our past that we haven't fully let go of? We haven't fully released. We haven't fully forgiven either ourselves or somebody else. And so it's a full integration of our entire body.
So I want to touch on another myth, and then if you can give us some practical tips as well.
Yeah.
So nervous system resets, for anybody who wants to do it, does that require long retreats or extreme practices?
No, like I said, in 60 seconds. So we just did a breath work, right?
Okay.
We did a breath work, and we can do something that's called, of course, box breathing. Very simple, very easy. I do this with my kids. You've probably seen this on the interwebs with me. But basically, we breathe in for 4. So let's take a deep breath. Hold for 4. And release for 4. Now let's do that again. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 4. And release for 4. So if we just do 3 cycles of this, what we're doing is we're activating our parasympathetic nervous system. If we are in that fight or flight, if our, brain is just on and we're like, okay, we have to go do, let's go, we're having all of the boxes open. If we just come back to center ourselves, it can be this box breathing. I'll show you another one in a second, but I have a list of all of these. You can find it on Instagram with me. We have a whole nervous system reset community on IG. But what tends to happen is you're activating then your parasympathetic. And what does that mean? That just means you're allowing your body to rest and digest. Yeah. Because if we are in this state of fight or flight, we're running from a bear. I mean, this is prehistoric times. We already know this. We are running from danger, from fear, from somebody trying to catch us. And I have been in the Masai Mara. I've done those retreats, and my fear was definitely activated. So I know when you think that there's a lion outside of your tent, that is very real. A lot of times when we think, we're not going to get the promotion, or we think that person's not going to say yes to our pitch, or we think, we can't save a relationship or a friendship or a marriage. These are visceral fears, right? But it's the what if. The lion's not right outside our tent, really. So how can we get out of that trauma response or that stress response, the stress response? And the stress response is just, all right, what can make me feel safe? How do I feel safe in my nervous system? Is that safety in my nervous system just, shall I shake it off? And I do this with my kids. I will literally, I'm like, okay, if we know that the melties, I call them the melties, the meltdowns for anybody that has children. But if the meltdowns are happening post-school, and we know, we were just talking about this, the witching hour.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm like, okay, we're going to turn on a dance party song. Right now it's K-pop. And and literally their mood changes. Why? Because music changes everything. You add music to it, and that changes everything. All you need is one song, 3 minutes. That's it. And literally, is everyone dancing? And I'm dancing too. My husband's dancing. And we could have all had a very different kind of day. Sometimes the meltdowns still happen. But basically, you know, we're saying, all right, let's shake it off. Or, you know, like literally rub it off, or literally like move. Because what are we doing? We're moving that stale, stagnant energy. And this is just neuroscience. This is nothing new. This is nothing woo-woo.
Yeah.
We are literally, and this is what Chinese medicine, Qigong, actually teaches, when we are literally shaking that energy off. And if you are watching this or listening to this, I'm literally shaking. But even in our events, we do this for about 30 seconds. Why? What does it do? Well, it actually recalibrates the energy in your system. And you know this. If you're at your desk for 8 hours a day and you're not moving, ooh,
Pent up.
Woo!
Pent up energy.
it's like, you know, it's like that pressure cooker when my mother-in-law is making dal in the house. Shout out to my mother-in-law. You know, when she's got the pressure cooker on and you need like 3 of those. That's the pressure.
Yeah.
So why can't we do that? Do you need to go to Bali? I said that's cute, but that's not going to relieve anything if you're not doing this actively
and regularly. Yeah.
And literally, it's why all of these apps are coming into play, because did I remember to breathe? Did I remember to drink water? Did I remember to shake and stand up and move around so that
I would also add that we have become indoor beings.
Oh yeah, get that light.
And we need to be outdoor, exactly. Sunlight, grounding. So do that shaking, do that box breathing
And
outside.
take off your shoes. Yeah,
Take off
take
the
off your
shoes
shoes.
and do it outside.
Guaranteed, yeah.
That will also instantly just help you go,
Just to take
Right?
that breath.
Yeah.
And to say, oh, hi, I'm human. So before we close, I want to get into kind of looking at the future and the future of where we are going, where we're seeing this wellness movement kind of shape itself in the UAE. And, you know, what advice would you give to somebody who feels overwhelmed by so many rules to clean eating and, you know, low-tox living, or, you know, these rules of healthy living?
Yeah, it could also be very overwhelming because there's so much information, and 2 people who give you completely different opinions as well. So there's a lot of information overwhelm as well, right? So you don't know where to start. So my advice is think about what we do the most. So we breathe more air than we do drink water and food even. So I would say start with what you do most. So we start with air. How is the quality of your air in your environment? Is that something that you've ever thought about? Do you need to open windows more often? Do you need to get rid of fragrances in the house, like scented candles? Those fragrance,
Incense.
the incense.
I know we love those.
The sprays, those that give you the scents that are everywhere.
Yeah.
In buildings and even in homes that you could plug in, right?
Those are all toxic.
Those are all toxic. Think about your cleaning products that you're spraying, that you're smelling. So think about air. Think about that. And just start thinking, where can I improve the quality of my air? Because that is what I'm using the most. And then think about water, because that's the next thing. We are 70 to 80% water. Think about the quality of your water, the source of your water. Can it be spring? Can you get it from a natural source? If not, is it filtered? Can we remove contaminants from our filtered water, right? From
And not all filtered water are the same.
Yeah, and then you have obviously the different types of filters that we could get into, but just keeping it simple, can you improve the quality of the water that you have access to? And then how do you store it? Is it in plastic bottle, or can you maybe switch to glass or carry a stainless steel bottle and put your filtered water in that? Right? So after you think of air and water, think about your skin and your mouth, because your skin is your largest mouth. And what we apply on our bodies, unlike the mouth, when we consume something, we actually have the liver that acts like a filter and can help us with detoxification. What you put on the skin, we don't have that same barrier, that same liver process that will process the toxin. It goes directly into systemic circulation. So think about your skin. What are you applying every single day on your skin? Is it the cleanest version that you can be using? And start with, again, like I said, things that you use on a day-to-day basis. start with perhaps your deodorant, things that you're putting on your skin very close to lymph nodes, and soaps that you're using on your skin. Like I mentioned, just a plain bar of pure olive oil soap, for example, can replace a lot of the products and keep it budget friendly as well, right? And so I would say start within those means, thinking about air, skin, and then you could start looking at food. And within the air as well, I would also say EMFs, because this is something that is very easy to minimize. Simply when, instead of putting the phone to your ear, you could put it on speakerphone. Start creating distance with your phone. Turning off the router at night before bed. Those are all things that you can also do to help improve the, quote, quote, air around you. So there's a lot of small little things that are absolutely free that can right there minimize the burden, and then you just start adding on. So you do whatever you can within your means, within your capacity, within your budget.
And a lot of these things are free.
A lot of these things are free and are very easy to implement, and they're really not gonna take any more time out of your life to do. So start there. And then you could start adding on. And then you could start increasing and investing in, for example, air purifiers, which cost a lot more, dehumidifiers. Like I've been on this journey for 20 years now plus, and I just recently invested in an organic latex mattress. It's been on my list for years, but they're very expensive, and it wasn't at the top of my priority list. So you don't have to start by changing your mattress. Literally start with your air, your water, and what you're putting on your skin.
So simple. So simple.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Do you see any cultural shifts happening in the future in terms of, people being more aware
Definitely. I mean,
of stress and low-tox living?
Definitely. And, thanks to festivals like the Kayan Wellness Festival that is bringing more awareness to a holistic approach to health, mind, body, culture. In this region, the awareness is growing. And we're starting to see that shift because we're starting to see more and more businesses offering healthier, cleaner, better for you products. Whereas before I used to DIY everything. When you asked me at the beginning if I prefer products or DIY, I was making my deodorant.
Of course you were.
Because I wasn't able to find one that was suitable that I could use. But now you have so many choices of healthier brands of deodorants. And now we're seeing local products coming onto them, local businesses producing cleaning products, for example. So definitely there's a shift, there's an increase in awareness, and I think it's not going anywhere. I think it's only going to increase because people are starting to feel it. So that stress that I was talking about, people are starting to feel it and realizing it's not just what I'm eating. It's not just, sleeping and exercise. There's more to it. It's my environment. And so people are starting to become more aware of it and are starting to make these changes. Yeah. So it very much is becoming part of today's culture to make those healthier swaps. So I wanted to ask you something as well for the listeners here. What's one small, realistic change that they can start with today?
Taking a moment to pause, just even after this. All you have to do, it doesn't cost anything, it's easy, but take a moment to pause to check in with yourself. I feel like so often we don't ever check in. We're checking in with everybody else and all of the things and all the to-dos, but really to ask yourself, how am I really doing today? What am I actually avoiding? Is there anything that I'm actually avoiding? Is there a feeling or an emotion that I'm actually avoiding? How did I really feel when I got passed over, to somebody else, or perhaps maybe I was left out, or whatever those things are, but really to fully check in with yourself. How are you really doing? And the other question I really like to ask is, so this is kind of an emotional, just, check-in for yourself of, okay, what is my capacity? Because many times our capacity to hold isn't a 10. And you rate it on a scale of 0 to 10. Mm-hmm. And so if you know your internal capacity, like maybe you've been having a really big week with the kids starting school and all of these things. We're at the beginning of the school year and your capacity is really low. You don't have capacity to go to 20 different events. Then you will say no, because you know what your value system is. And your value system is, I need to take care of me right now. And in my capacity for this week, I'm like a 4. And that's because my kids aren't adjusting. Something's happening, all of these things. We want to say yes to everything, but when do you say yes to yourself? When you're saying no to other things, you're actually saying yes to yourself. And believe me, all those people that want you and demand life out of you, if they're your real humans, they will understand. And if they're not, then they're not really your humans.
Yeah, that's so important. I think FOMO is real, right? Everybody says yes to a lot of things because of the fear of missing out on opportunities, missing out on networking, connections, things like that. But yes, it's so important to prioritize yourself.
And I want to add to that though, because when we are not in the essence of chasing, we are savoring. And when we're savoring, we're actually attracting more of those opportunities to us. Because what's meant for you is always going to find its way towards you. Most of the time we sabotage because we're kind of like pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. Instead of the pushing, instead of the hustle, why don't we savor? Savor, the people that you randomly meet, where it didn't take much effort to coordinate. This wasn't an effort. It was like, oh, I love you. You love me. This is great. We can talk about this in our pajamas. And so I think prioritizing more of that, because I promise you, if you focus on that, you will be attracting more and more of that in your life.
Absolutely. So with some final reflections here, I want to ask you, do you have a quote or a mantra or one piece of advice that you always like to give that you want listeners to remember?
So I always say, in the theme even of this of the show today, to really be able to honor yourself and honor yourself first, because we cannot fill from an empty cup. And to be able to, whether it's really take a look and whether it's in the mirror of yourself, in the reflection of who you are today to where you are or who you're becoming in the next 3 years, maybe in the next 1 year. Some people don't think that long, maybe in the next 6 months. Are the things, the people, the habits, the situations, the circumstances, all of the things that we think that we are stressing about, is that really going to be that stressful for you in the next 3 years, 1 year, 2 months? Because if not, then those are just little splinters. And if these are little splinters in your day, then I want you to say thank you. Thank you to that heartbreak. Thank you to that fear. Thank you to that anxiety. Thank you for showing me all of these things, and to feel grateful that we actually get to experience this range of emotion, because most of the time we avoid, we dissociate, we shove it under a rug, we don't talk about it. But instead, I would hope that we can honor ourselves to really check in and say, okay, is this me right now? Am I feeling jealous because I don't really see that in myself, but I see that for that other person? So that's the biggest thing, is check in with yourself and honor yourself first.
Beautiful. Yes, I totally agree. And so those that would love to, those that are listening, those that are watching, who would love to learn more from you, maybe get your nervous system reset guide, how can they connect with you?
Well, you can go to neetabhushan.com. And all things, we have the Brave Table, we have all of our coaching institute information, and we have our Tritonics. And of course, my book, That Sucked, Now What?
Amazing.
All right. And now back to you, love. So what is one thing that you want to leave us with today? A saying, a mantra?
Yeah, something that I actually always say is, perfection doesn't exist. And so you can also, you can only do better when you know better. And that's something that I want to leave people with, is that it can feel very overwhelming. You can look at people around you and compare yourself to they're doing more than what I'm doing. Everybody's on their own journey. There's some people just starting out. There's some people that have been doing this for 20, 30 years. Don't compare. start with where you're at, with the knowledge that you have, and do the best that you can with that. Because there were things that I was doing in the past that now I look back and I'm like, well, I did that, but that's what I knew best. Yeah. And then you learn and you grow and you evolve. You have to be willing to learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can only do better when you know better.
Okay, and how can everybody get in touch with you and your wisdom and your book and your community?
So my book, Unjunk, is available on Amazon. They can also go to my website, BernadetteAbraham.com. They can find Be Better membership if they'd like to join that in our community there. And on Instagram, Bernadette.Abraham as well.
Ooh, this was incredible.
It was.
Oh my gosh, I feel like we can do a whole part 2. But thank you for tuning in, everyone, and until next time.
This was fun. Thank you.